All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for tuning into this week's class of the Magical Herbalism Mentorship Semester 2. I am your guidance counselor, the Garden Goddess, and today we'll be discussing universal numbers. Now, I wanted us to focus on universal numbers because we all have some sort of basic overview of what numbers mean. So, if you are in a spiritual community or if you're just into spirituality in general, then you'll commonly see 111, 333, 777, these sacred numbers that everyone talks about. If you see 111 on your clock, you need to make a wish. If you see 333 somewhere, like maybe, you're in the midst of creating something magical. We have this basic understanding from seeing online about how important numbers are and how they may even be called angel numbers, right? They're a way or tool of communication between you and your spirits, you and your angels, and you and the divine universe. But numbers have a deeper meaning. And today I wanted us to go over just how important numbers are and how each number that you see in the world can carry specific power, specific intentions, and you can use them in specific ways to manifest for your life. So, for today's class, we're going to be talking about what sacred numbers are, the language of earth, the meaning of numbers, and how numbers affect your magic and herbs. And I'm also going to give you guys a little bit of bonus information on how your vibration communicates with the planet. So, what are sacred numbers? Universally, when we talk about numbers in our everyday lives, we're referring to numbers as a mathematical object used to count, measure, and label. And so usually we're referring to whole numbers, which is just like one, two, three, four, so on and so forth. But when we're referring to sacred numbers as far as spirituality goes, we're talking about these mathematical objects that are used to measure our potential in life. They're used to sort of scale us forward or scale us back. How many of us look up angel numbers and realize that your angels or your ancestors or your spirits are trying to communicate with you that change is coming, or that new opportunities for a job is going to be coming. So these sacred numbers are actually used to communicate with us what our potential is going to be, the changes in our lives that are upcoming, and direct us to the path that's going to lead us to our purpose, essentially. And so when you're seeing numbers such as 333, you know that good is coming. When you see things such as 555, you know that change is happening. And when you're not having that sort of communication, when you're not necessarily in tune, sometimes you won't see those numbers at all because you are out of alignment, essentially. And so the further you are from alignment, the harder it is to see the messages that your spirits are essentially trying to send you because you've blocked yourself from communication. And so when we're seeing these numbers, when we have this understanding that these numbers are there to direct and guide us and used as a tool to communicate with us, then we'll also be able to understand that they can be used to channel specific essences of masculine and feminine energy, of elemental magic, as well as major and minor arcana types. So when you're doing spell work, you can utilize specific numbers to channel specific essences, intentions, and powers to garner the results that you want. And so instead of placing maybe a sigil or a symbol, maybe instead of placing the Venus symbol on your candles, you can utilize a number instead and garner the same results. Now, numbers as a whole can be represented in language with number words, symbols, as well as codes. And an example of this is the number 5. So, numbers can be represented in language. So, as we see, the number 5 is spelled out FIVE in English. We can see numbers through symbols, which is the number 5, as well as coding. So, If you are not into computer programming or you're not into engineering, then you won't know this information. But if you are, or you have some sort of background, as I do, then you'll know that in order to program a computer or any sort of digital device, you have to go through a basic programming method to get the computer to work, to get the computer to store data, to follow instructions, to have some sort of foundation of knowledge so that when the everyday human being gets a hold of it, the computer will store their information for them. The computer will help them do simple searches, uh, organize data. And so, how the computer does this and how the computer is able to communicate with the user is through a series of numbers. And the language of a computer is just ones and zeros, literally. There's no there's no other special way a computer communicates. I mean, that's just through a series of ones and zeros. So when a computer is saying 101, it translates for us human beings or civilians as the number five. Or if a computer says maybe like 100, that can translate to maybe four. So essentially, numbers are used to communicate language to others. And that can be said for the universe as well. The universe utilizes numbers to communicate with us in ways that we can understand. Another example of coding being used for other people to understand is Morse code. How many of us have heard of that? Where it's just a series of like beats. I don't want to say beeps. I kind of want to say it's beeps, beeps. It's like a series of beeps that are used to communicate within the military to let you know if there's danger coming, if things are fine, if we are safe. And so for outsiders that hear that, they may be like, what in the hell is all these beeping sounds? But those beats are essentially sounds that are measured through the amount that they're heard to configure a sort of language that can be understood. And so, just like the military has developed their own way of communicating with each other in a way that those that are within that group can understand, the universe does that with us as well. The universe has its own set of codes and its own set of Morse codes and its own set of languages that is utilized to communicate with us in a very creative and efficient manner. And it's so smart in a way that it does it just for us. We all have individual ways that we communicate with our spirits and we communicate with the earth. We all don't have our own, we all don't have the same operations of understanding. And so the universe knows that and finds ways to communicate with us that we can understand. So, how she does this is through a multitude of ways. Sometimes planet Earth communicates with us through symbols, us seeing the same symbol over and over again. Maybe you saw a heart when you went to the store, and then suddenly when you're driving home from the store, you see a heart again. And then when you come in your house, maybe your daughter is wearing a heart necklace. And then when you're going to sleep, maybe you dream about a heart. That is the planet communicating with you through a series of symbols, a consistent symbol. Sometimes the planet communicates with you through numbers, seeing the same number over and over again to notify you of upcoming changes or trying to communicate with you that something needs to go out of your life or communicating with you that you're doing the right thing. And then through those codes creates a language, if you will, through the universe communicating with you through symbols, through numbers. And consistently doing that, what the universe is doing is creating a language for you to understand. And so the most important thing you can do during that time of learning how the universe communicates with you, it's through just simply paying attention and listening and keeping your eye out for the subtle things that the planet necessarily does for you. And lastly, one of the greatest ways that we understand that our spirits and even the earth communicates with us is through music. Sometimes when you're going through things and you just get in your car and turn on the radio, a specific song will just be playing at random, which is not random, it's divine. But a specific song will be playing out of nowhere, and it's exactly what you're going through, or it's exactly the advice that you need. All these things can be measured through a series of numbers um, that the earth it utilizes to talk to us, to get us to understand what's happening in our lives and get us to understand that we're not alone in this world. And so what I'm trying to tell you is the universe is math. And I know that math is many of us, it's not necessarily mine, but it's many of our least favorite subjects, um, because maybe it can be hard to understand. But math is everywhere. The universe communicates with us through a series of numbers that can be measured, a series of numbers that can be measured and translates into sound. And all these things are just ways to communicate that God God is a scientist. God is the ultimate mastermind. And God has found ways to communicate with us in the most subtle ways, in the most major ways. And so God utilizes the earth. I really, really feel like that. God utilizes the earth to talk to us when we don't necessarily have a religion to go to, when we don't necessarily have maybe a spiritual group to utilize. God has given us the earth to really bring us back to who we are. And so when we think about math, some of us think about maybe geometry, we think about the class in sixth grade that we couldn't necessarily pass because who the hell knows about algebra? But math translated to earth is is a completely different it's a completely different class, and it's a completely different course. So I wanted to show you all what I mean by this, and that is sacred geometry. um but before I go there, I wanted to show you guys this quote from Galileo, and that is, mathematics is the alphabet with which God has written the universe. The universe is math, y'all. So you didn't have to pass algebra to understand this, but I am going to show you how math has played a part in creation and how this also affects your magic and herbs. So, have you heard of sacred geometry? Some of you may have, some of you may haven't, but sacred geometry is a discipline or field of knowledge that gives sacred meanings to certain geometrical shapes. So it's been around since the ancient times, and throughout history, spiritual teachers, mystics, shamans have applied meanings to the shapes and patterns that are present in nature. So the school of thought when it comes to sacred geometry is the belief that everything in the universe is created according to geometric laws. So, from the smallest particles, such as an atom, to the greatest cosmos that we can even think of and imagine, each of nature's creation follows a specific geometric plan, which is revealed through their forms, patterns, ratios, and frequencies. And so each of these shapes that we see here give off a specific frequency, which is usually a very high frequency that tells our body, even when we don't see it with our eyes, it tells our subconscious to feel a certain way, to think a certain way, and to imagine certain things, and to just get in alignment overall. All these geometrical shapes are used to help us get into alignment. And so often you'll see, I think, certain people with this specific tattoo, and this is, I think, an enlightenment tattoo. You'll also see them, I think this is the Metatron symbol, and that's the most common one to get into alignment. These flowers and these plants all carry these specific shapes to help us along the way. And so, even though when you can't visually see these geometrical shapes within a flower, they do live there. And that just lets you know just how, I guess, amazing God is, that He was able to create a plant that literally aligns in every shape, form, and fashion. Like if you measure, I've been in the field and I've measured these plants to see if these specific shapes exist in them, and they do. And that's just crazy how these plants can be in perfect alignment in every shape, form, and fashion. And so another common sacred geometry shape that you may see within the plant kingdom is the Fibonacci spirals. So you normally see them within sunflowers here. These spirals going out. Obviously, you probably see these in the seashells, and you'll definitely see a lot of the Fibonacci spirals in the succubus, not the succubus, the succulents, excuse me, succulent plants. A lot of succulent plants, such as like aloe veras, the indoor plants that don't need a lot of water, a lot of desert plants will have these Fibonacci spirals. And they're usually these spirals that have these mathematical formula of having consistent patterns. And it uses, let me see, it uses a sequence of integers from going from like 1 to I believe like 24. And it's amazing. It's amazing how everything has been sequenced um, to follow specific numbers, to follow a steady increase, if you will. Um, Yeah, and so this is sacred geometry. And sacred geometry lives within the plant kingdom. Sacred geometry has a way of just transforming lives. And so, if you don't know what sacred geometry is, or you are not familiar with the shapes, you can utilize this within your spiritual work, actually. That's one of my secrets as well. I use sacred geometry within my own spiritual workings, and they are effective and efficient. The only thing is you have to find which symbol represents the outcome that you're looking for. So there's sacred geometry that represents prosperity, change, enlightenment, and these shapes live everywhere, not even just within the plant kingdom. You'll often see sacred geometry used because it's so sacred, and because it's been used for so many years, for hundreds of thousands of years. You actually see sacred geometry within spiritual temples. So you'll see sacred geometry within churches, mosques, temples. They're everywhere. You, even if you really pay attention, you'll see it in the architecture of specific houses, and they've proven to be extraordinarily effective. And if you're someone that's into crystals, if you're into crystal healing, then you'll probably see some of these shapes within your crystal planes. I think they're like those wooden tables that you set your crystals out to create specific shapes. I've seen many of those crystal tables, usually in this shape, excuse me, and usually in this star-like shape. And so those specific patterns are used to help charge your crystals over the moon, overnight. I've even used sacred geometry to charge my holy waters, my Florida waters, and they have proven to be very, very effective, and even, I would dare say, harmless to the most newest spiritual practitioner. And so I wanted to go over the meaning of numbers in general. We talk about 111, 777, 333 often when it comes to learning about sacred numbers, but I wanted to break them down bit by bit and tell you the meaning of numbers. And so I didn't want to overwhelm you guys, so we're just going to go 1 through 8 today. And then if you're feeling comfortable, then we'll discuss 9, 10, and 0. So the first few numbers I wanted to touch base on in their meaning are 1 through 4. And so the number 1 communicates ideas. It communicates ego, anything regarding our wants and desires and not necessarily our needs, we can use the number one for. We can use the number one for new beginnings and possibilities to succeed, as well as the concepts of self. So the number one refers to us, us as the great I am. I am everything, I am nothing, I am all I need to be. The number one represents us. It has a lot of that Aries energy to it because the number one governs who we are on this planet, represented as the magician. And so within the tarot, we can see that the magician is commonly used and represented by the number one. And that is because we are the number one person in our life. We are our higher self and the person living in this 3D life. And so, ways you can use the number one within your magic is anything regarding your wants, needs, and desires. So, I love incorporating the number one when it comes to prosperity magic, when it comes to any sort of magic regarding money, business, and even a job change. When I'm looking to do some major manifestation in my life, I usually will stick with the number one in my magic. The next up number is number two. Now, this number is represented with with our relationships. So anything regarding partnership, whether it's friendship, whether it's romantic relationship, the number two represents that. It also represents our experiences and our evolution that involves ourselves, our whole selves, that needs to evolve into something better or greater. And it can also represent stagnation. So the number two is often utilized when it comes to, I say, your initiation into your priesthood. The number two is you coming together with your higher self, as well as your ancestors, to evolve into a greater human being. And so when I was deep into my spiritual journey, I often used the number two to help me find that balance within myself. And so, as we can see that in tarot, the number two is represented as the high priestess, the more evolved self, the more intuitive self, the self that is no longer self contained, but has self evolved. And so I love utilizing the number two when it comes to my interpersonal relationships. So my relationships with my loved ones, but the number two is my favorite number to use when it comes to any sort of matters regarding me. So when it comes to my intuitive gifts, I highly recommend utilizing the number two. When it comes to initiating just a new, more evolved self, I highly recommend the number two. And then we have the number three. The number three represents creativity, expression, fulfillment, imagination, transcendence, releasing resentment, and birthing new ideas. So in the tarot, the number three is represented as the Empress. And so the number three is great to use when you're having new ventures, when you're trying to venture off to do something brand new, totally out your comfort zone in your life. When you're creating a new project, starting a new business, and you're trying to get ideas for your logos, your labels, the kind of products you want to be using or creating, who you want your vendor to be. If you're someone that's an artist and you're trying to find inspiration for painting, the number three is a great number to utilize within your creativity and or in your creative processes. So anything regarding creation, I would say even fertility, if you're trying to create new life, utilizing the number three within your magic is extraordinarily beneficial. And the number three is a great number to use when you're seeking emotional fulfillment. The number three, because it's represented as the Empress, we can see the Empress as someone that is highly feminine, that's someone that is a master at not only creating and giving out to the world, but also receiving. And so when you're looking to receive something new, something fresh in your life, you're trying to just be on the softer end. Maybe you're on your femininity journey. The number 3 is a great number to utilize within your work. And then we have the number 4, which is one of my favorite numbers to use because it's all about nurturing through physical things. So, financial stability, having some sort of structure and security. The number 4 represents our materialism, what we want in our life that gives us that leisure and comfort that we're looking for. The number 3 is sort of seeking emotional fulfillment. The number 4 is seeking physical fulfillment. How nice is my house? How much money do I have in my bank account? How consistent is my job? How many hours am I getting at work? It provides those everyday stability and security needs that we have. And it makes sure that we wake up fulfilled and satisfied with what we are able to physically have and endure in our life. And so the number 4 is also represented by the 4 elements: north, south, east, west, as well as the 4 seasons of summer, winter, fall, and spring. So I love utilizing the number 4 when I'm seeking structure in my life. Maybe if I'm looking for financial stability, maybe I'm searching for a house or an apartment. Maybe I'm looking for protection from other people or just trying to feel grounded in my everyday life because maybe I feel ungrounded due to stress, heartache, depression of some sort. And so in the tarot, the number 4 is represented by the Emperor for that stability and structure, and the Death card for that sort of manifestation, for that stability and security that we're looking for. The Death card is an interesting card because it does represent transformation, and transmutation. But the Death card also provides that security because it lets you know that change is coming and it doesn't have to happen through discomfort. The Death card is a great card to utilize when you're just ready to move on to something better, but you don't want to leave yourself behind. So I love utilizing the Death card when it comes to the number 4 when I'm looking for stability and I'm willing to surrender the things that don't provide me that. The Death card is amazing for that. But if I'm looking for protection, if I'm looking for stability and even structure, then I'll utilize the Emperor in the tarot when it comes to the number 4. And then we have number 5 through number 8. So the number 5 represents leaving the nest. It can represent crisis, transformation, challenges. Oftentimes, as readers, if you are someone that reads the tarot, when you see the number 5 come out in a reading, like if you get 5 of staves, then there's a lot of stress going on. There's a lot of chaotic energy. There's a lot of challenges. Versus if you see maybe the 5 of coins, then it's a time where things are changing, and the client is going to have to surrender to the process. And so the number 5 is kind of a double-edged sword because the number 5 is it's extraordinarily challenging. It's a challenging number because it can represent so much loss and change, but it can also represent initiation and transformation on the other side. And so I'm always kind of weary of the number 5 because it can go either way, depending on the person, the client, and the situation. It's never usually a straightforward number to work with. And so we can think of it in the tarot as the Hierophant. The Hierophant is probably the most traditional of the major arcanas. It believes in structure, it believes in tradition, it believes in a sort of old-fashioned way of being. And it represents an initiation of some sort. And so just know if you have the five, whatever the five is that's showing up in your life, um, just know an initiation is occurring, a major change is occurring. And so this is the time where you really have to watch your character. And then we have the number 6, which is one of my favorite numbers because it represents marriage and balance and union and harmony, um, and also karma and reconciliation and beauty and success and happiness. And so we can think of the number 6 as the lovers and the devil within the tarot. And so the number 6 is great to use when it comes to your relationships. And so if you're doing a divination and you see a lot of 6s, it's definitely talking about your relationship, and it possibly is talking about some karma that you have. Often when the 6 comes up, it's talking about karmic relationships, to be honest, more than like I guess you can say, yeah, karmic relationships, twin flame relationships, rather than like soulmate connections, if you will. Um, but you can utilize the number 6 when it comes to any sort of love magic, when it comes to any sort of marriage magic, reconciliation work. Dare I say any work regarding self-love. Yeah, I guess, yeah, you can use the number 6 for any sort of love workings, and even workings that help you be more reflective on who you are. The number 6 is a great number to utilize within your work. And then we have the number 7, which is represented through spirituality, magic, training, research, the mysteries of life, the mystical nature. It's also represented through the moon phases, the 7 moon phases, the 7 chakras, and hexes and curses. And so the number 7 is great to utilize when you're going through spiritual training as well as initiation. So if you're someone that is just learning about traditional African religions and you're trying to sort of uncover the mystical nature within these traditional African religions, utilizing the number 7 or seeing the number 7 definitely means that you're entering within that spiritual realm. And it's all about, the 7 is just, it's a number that represents phases, really. So you're kind of in your process when you're seeing the number 7. You're kind of just in your grind and you're still in that process of uncovering. I like to say that the number 7 represents the student in numerology. The number 7 represents, in a way, completion if you're someone that's into the Bible. It just represents your process overall, and it also represents to, or means to keep going within your process, because you're onto something and you're not quite there yet, but you're on your way. And that's why it's often represented as the chariot in the tarot, because the chariot, if you see if you have the picture on hand, the chariot is represented by a man on his chariot with his horse, or whatever mystical creature that is. Um, I think it's like that Egyptian statue in some tarots. It looks like that Egyptian statue where it's like half person, half lion. Um, but the chariot is meant to tell you to keep going. It's meant to say, use your passion and desires to go after what it is that you seek. And so the chariot doesn't mean that you're at the end. It doesn't even mean that you're at the beginning, but the chariot means to keep going in that process and to do so with drive, conviction, and passion. And so when you see the number 7 within your life, or if you want to use the number 7 within your work, just know that this is a very fiery number that can be utilized to keep you going. It's a persistent number. It's a number that is telling you that you're in a good point and you're in a good phase of your life. And you may need a little more fire. You may need a little more push and passion to keep going. And so the goal of the number 7 is to achieve balance, but it's to achieve balance through joy. It's to achieve balance through not being stressed out or worried about the outcome, but leading with your heart, leading with your gut, and leading with your spirit to achieve your ultimate purpose. And in that, you're balancing out the stressors or the conditioning that the world tells you that you have to confine to. And then we have the number 8, which is often the number utilized within money magic. And that's because the number 8 represents the completion of a project. The number 8 represents abundance. It represents matters of the heart. It represents infinity and beyond. It represents celebration and wholeness. The number 8 can also represent karma, destiny, manifesting through diligence, and the ultimate harvest. So when you see the number 8, it can be represented by the strength card in tarot, and it can also be represented by the star card in tarot. And so the number 8 is a great number to utilize when it comes to manifesting major abundance. And that's often a number that I utilize within my prosperity rituals, and a number that I utilize within my own personal money magic. And so I love utilizing the number 8 when it comes to me working or me looking for a new job or a new business venture. When I'm just open to whatever abundance that the world or the universe or my ancestors have to offer me, I utilize the number 8 in my life. And you can use that too. So, how do these things affect your magic? Well, we know the background of what numbers are. We know the background of what sacred numbers are within spirituality. We figured out that numbers are represented everywhere, from the plants to the numbers we see on our screens, right? And we also figured out what numbers, what each individual number represents, from 1 to 8, right? But then how do we convert this into our spiritual work? How do we convert this into our magic? How we do this is by incorporating these into our candles, our lamps, and even whatever spiritual work we desire by just simply writing them. When we understand the meaning behind something, we're able to utilize it with more intention. And so you can utilize these numbers in your magic by simply writing the number on your candle. You can utilize this by putting a specific amount of herbs in your candles or your lamps. And so, like we said, numbers were used to count, to measure, and to label. That's in our day to day lives. But if we can translate that into our spirituality, we can use a certain amount of herbs within our magic to represent a specific number. So you can use 3 herbs within your candle magic. So maybe cinnamon, basil, and mint. You're trying to do money magic. Those 3 herbs that you decide to utilize can represent the number 3. And if we go back to figure out what the number 3 represents, the number 3 represents creativity, expression, fulfillment, imagination, transcendence, playfulness. We can utilize herbs in that way to utilize numbers or numerology within our magic. You can also get even more specific and say, okay, I am going to use the number 3 within my money magic through 1 herb. So I'll take 3 leaves of mint to represent the number 3 within my herbs. So you can write the numbers on your candles or your lamps or whatever, your mojo bags. You can utilize numbers within your herbs by choosing 3 or from 0 to however many herbs that you want to incorporate in your magic. You can utilize the numbers through choosing the amount of herbs you decide to use within your work. You can get even more detailed and say, I'm going to go and just choose 3 leaves of a specific herb to represent numerology within my magic. And these are ways that you can incorporate numerology within your work. Very, very simple ways to communicate not communicate, to incorporate, numbers within your work in a very easy, simplistic manner. And you can get as detailed as you want. Maybe you want to incorporate numerology within your magic by using 3 herbs, not 3 herbs, 3 candles that day. Maybe you want to incorporate numerology by doing a candle magic ritual and getting specific with the number of days that you do your ritual. You can go from 3 days to represent the number 3 to 5 days to represent the number 5, or maybe 3 days to 7 days to represent the numerology of 7 and the magic within that number. You can also utilize numbers within your magic by utilizing the tarot. So I gave you all the meanings of the numbers and the essences they carry, as well as what tarot card they're represented by. And so you can channel that specific number by placing the card in your magic. So some people, they put a tarot card in front of their candle magic while they're doing specific workings, or maybe they place the tarot under their candle while they're doing specific workings. And that's to channel that essence, that energy that that specific tarot card has. And so you can channel numbers as well as the essence of a specific tarot card by actually taking out the tarot card and placing it in your work. You can glue it onto your candle, you can place it under your candle, you can even maybe burn the card and use the ashes within your lamps. There's so many different ways that you can utilize tarot cards within your magic, and those tarot cards will channel the number that it's represented by in your work. And that is how you can utilize numbers to really affect your magic and take it to a whole nother level. Now, I want to kind of give you all a little bit of bonus information because we're talking about numbers today in ways that can be measured to tell us if we are at our highest potential, if change is occurring, and if we are on the right path for our purpose. Now, oftentimes we talk about being high vibrational and low vibrational, but we don't necessarily know what that translates into. And so, if we go from the basic understanding of numbers, numbers are used to measure. When we look at sacred numbers, they're used to measure our potential changes and if we are on the right path to our destiny. But also, numbers can be used to measure where our frequency is at. And that's why we have this row here. This is a set of numbers that measures our frequency if we are high vibrational and if we are low vibrational. And so when you are feeling these sort of emotions, such as shame, guilt, grief, fear, the vibration you are giving off and communicating to the earth is that I am operating at this frequency, right? And often when we say low frequency and we kind of like get harped up on it, like we associate that with negativity, right? But if you're a human being and you're going through day-to-day life, you're going to experience all of these emotions. It's just a part of it, and it doesn't make you a negative person, and that I don't think we should associate that with negativity. But if we look at this chart over here, all we're trying to say is when you're feeling these emotions, it takes a lot more energy. It utilizes a lot more energy. It uses a lot more willpower to really get moving, to really operate at a high level in your life and to manifest your dreams, goals, and desires. And so you're not getting the most out of yourself when you're operating in these things. And so the best way you can get yourself out of these sort of lower vibrations is to get your energy moving. And so When we're feeling things such as guilt and shame, oftentimes we want to jump up to just feeling joy. Oh, I'm upset. Oh, I feel bad about my life, but I have to be positive. I have to just shake it off and just be enlightened. I have to be at the top. But that is called spiritual bypassing. You cannot ignore your feelings, but a way you can acknowledge your feelings as well as raise your vibration is by taking things one step at a time. I did a ritual maybe like a few months ago, and my ritual was about anger. And that is because even though anger is on the lower scale of vibrations, if you are feeling guilt, if you are feeling shame, if you are feeling grief or fear, a way you can raise your vibration sometimes is by getting angry. As you can see here, like these are the levels of your vibration through your emotions. Sometimes a way you can raise your vibration if you're feeling fear is sometimes just having courage to address the issue. Just by jumping from fear to courage, you're raising your vibration. Sometimes jumping from fear to anger, you're raising your vibration. Fear to desire, you're raising your vibration. No matter how low or how much little change is occurring, taking these little steps to getting to where you need to go will eventually lead you to that enlightenment and peace that you're looking for. But you don't have to jump from guilt, shame, fear, anger to just joy off rip, right? Do things in small spurts. Take your time. Working through your emotions will get you to the level that you're looking at, which is ultimately love, joy, and enlightenment. And oftentimes, you're not ever going to be here at the peace, joy, love, and reason forever. If you're a human being, oftentimes you're going to go through all of these emotions and go all these spurts. And so I always say my favorite vibration to be at always is neutrality. That is why when you talk to me, I always say I curate ease in my life. I like to curate just chillness, easefulness, and that is neutrality. That's equanimity. And that vibration is at 250. That's the vibration I like to operate at. For you, you have to find what vibration you operate at the best. Maybe it's acceptance, maybe it's reason, maybe it's courage, but it's ultimately up for you to decide where you operate best. And so I want to show you all how you can raise your vibration. And that's through simple things. It's just through moving energy. Oftentimes, when we're going through emotions, we have to remember that they're just energy in motion. It's just energy that is moving. And so, if we can allow energy to move, this process will naturally happen. The more you hold on to your emotions, the more they become stagnant and they get stuck within your body. So, ways you can do this is by just allowing yourself to feel. You can also incorporate exercise into your life to get your energy moving. You can also incorporate EFT into your life, which is emotional freedom techniques. It's a tapping method that you can incorporate into your life. And that brings about movement in your body, which ultimately is what raises your vibration. And so don't spiritual bypass. Don't feel like you have to be in these upper frequencies all the time, but you can raise your vibration through simple things. And these are emotions that I want to kind of give you guys the levels of emotions so that you know if you're feeling any of these things, you can raise your vibration by just choosing or allowing yourself to feel another emotion outside of just peace. If you can get yourself to just neutrality, or if you can just get yourself to courage or willingness, that is enough. So, homework time. I had you all create a holy water this week. And that is because I wanted you all to experience what it's like to have the number 7 in your life. So the holy water incorporates 7 ingredients. Well, really, it incorporates 8 ingredients because that doesn't include water. And I wanted you all to experience what it's like to incorporate numbers within your magic subconsciously, as well as raise y'all's vibrations to as high of a level as I could get it, so that you're able to experience communication with the planet. When you're vibrating at a lower frequency, sometimes it can be hard to hear. Sometimes it can be hard to access your spiritual gifts and communicate with your spirits because you're clogged up. You're clogged up with your feelings of shame and grief or whatever is going on in your body and your mind. So I wanted to create a holy water to completely wash all of your guys' auras and your grievances and your fears and anxieties from the week. And I wanted you all to really experience what it's like to have a holy water and to experience alignment and the nourishment of your chakras and incorporate the number 7. But as we're aligning ourselves and raising our vibrations with this spiritual work, I also want you all to be able to dedicate 1 week to experiencing joy. A ways that we can raise our vibration is just by doing things that we actually want to do and not doing things that we don't want to do. So just by experiencing joy, just by doing things that give you pleasure will raise your vibration. And finally, for your homework, I would love for you all to pray each morning for divine guidance and direction in your life and write down any forms of communication you receive from the earth. And so, like I said earlier, the earth communicates with us in very subtle ways. But if we're not paying attention, we won't know that we're being communicated with at all times. We're being communicated with all the time, actually. And so, that is your guys' homework. Please let me know if you need any assistance, any help with anything. And I hope you all enjoyed class today. And I will see you all in our next class. Thank you all and see you soon.